Welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. NumberNine.
And this is The Fool.
Your 96 best place to listen to...
For 10 years.
Yes, for our 10th season of our mostly up-to-date...
And unqualified. And unrequested.
ramblings of the various issues in the world of sport.
Or something like that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, probably. It's probably the best analogy.
Or maybe Nutella spread.
Ooh, Nutella spreads, yeah.
Nutella spread and peanut butter.
Yeah. That, we'll take that.
So we are going to look at the cricket season.
Yeah.
It's a bit in general, but also just to look at how New Zealand's progressing. Yeah. Obviously, a bit unfortunate for the men. It looks like the World Test Championship is going to be beyond them. They needed to do much better in playing Australia at home.
Yeah, that was disappointing. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both the games are just disappointing. Close,
Yeah.
but disappointing.
Exactly. Though currently still third, so
Still
you never
third.
know what will happen.
Yeah.
Slow over rates, deductions, all these things can play a part. But I think given where New Zealand are currently in the test game, third place is about fair. We're in a rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, you're right.
And
It's
probably
fair.
I think the batting lineup needs a bit more experience. I think the current crop of players we're picking for them are all good
Yeah.
and have good, just eye test look good, solid.
Yeah.
But when you're wanting to look at the bowlers, it's like say you look who's going to replace Neil Wagner in that team. He's almost irreplaceable. Who's going to replace Trent Bolt in that team? He's also pretty much irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Tim Southee is only going to continue for as long as he can, and there might be, there's not really anyone with his he's pretty much running on gumption. He's not super fast anymore and doesn't really get that much swing.
No, he's
Yeah, go on.
as I say, he's really not looking the dangerous weapon he was. As I say, a little bit is just he's clearly at the end of his career. He's not that quick. The swing's still there, but just not sort of the really late fast swing that really cuts through people. So batters are comfortable with him. At the same time, he's generally one of the tighter bowlers. He's got it in the right spot and he knows what he's doing.
He's a good bowler. I think he's a good bowler to have as a leader.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, for the last few years, he was having an autumn renaissance in his career, which was basically done with the wobble ball, which he kind of mastered really well.
Yeah.
But I think batsmen have kind of he's unfortunate at this stage, that eternal battle between bat and ball. Batsmen have just gotten used to the wobble ball.
Yeah.
Just got used to the googly and the reverse swing and the slower ball. All of these things come in cycles.
Yeah, exactly. And there's adaptation to it, and as you say, for the moment that seems to the wobble ball's been mostly adapted by batters. They know how to read it, they know what to do with it.
At least they
mostly
use their feet to take it out of take it out of its most effectiveness.
Yeah. That's what I mean, they know.
To treat wobble balls as fast spin balls, right?
Yeah. But I would say we've got O'Rourke and
Jameson,
Sears.
good
Sears is the other one.
bowlers.
O'Rourke and Sears are the two young ones that sort of came in the two tests. O'Rourke got the first test against Australia, and Sears got the second test against. So Sears is a bit older. He's 26 years, but I think O'Rourke's only 22 or so.
I think both O'Rourke and Jameson, because of their size, we're just always going to know that they're not going to play every test. I know New Zealand doesn't play that many tests anyway, but if they're going to be 3 format players, like they're going to have a, as in be able to make money.
Yeah.
Their career,
have a living.
Play test matches, make a living, play test match. If all they did is play test matches, it would be fine. But if they're going to play T20s and play ODIs as well, and they should want to.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be a lot harder. And as always, there's a dearth in the spin bowling stocks at the moment.
Yeah, especially when against Australia we didn't want to pick actual spin bowlers and just rely on Ravindra and Phillips. I mean, not bad options to rely on, but it would have, I think
if Phillips is your 5th bowler in the team, bowling spin, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Same with Rachin Ravindra. He's your 5th or 6th bowler in your test side, bowling spin, perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They're not good enough to be 4th bowlers.
No,
Neither
I think
is Daryl Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell is not good enough to be a 4th bowler. He's fine as being a 5th bowler.
Yeah.
So even a fully fit Sears, with Sears, Jameson and O'Rourke, like a new look bowling attack, if and when Tim Southee retires, you still need a 4th, and ideally that 4th is a genuine frontline spinner.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand's not going to win away test matches anywhere without one. This is
exactly.
The situation around the world. South Africa is becoming more and more spin friendly. Australia, no coincidence, the last time England won the Ashes in Australia was when they had Graham Swan in their team.
Yeah.
And India are the only team that consistently not just win in Australia, but win incredible series, making comebacks and getting stronger as the series progress.
Yeah. Not really surprised there. You say spin is just so critical around the world. It just opens up attacks, just gives them the other variability, gives you something. And good spin bowlers you just need one. And I think
And I think New Zealand cricket have acknowledged this problem. People in the New Zealand setup, Gary Stead, Craig McMillan, all of them have said that developing the spinner, and because New Zealand's actually becoming quite a lot more spin friendly. As the world gets warmer and you get more and more sun earlier and earlier in the season, you're gonna get pitches that turn more. I feel like New Zealand cricket should mandate in the first class arena that for the provinces, our 6 provinces, they should all have one of their grounds, one of the places they play in has to be a spin venue.
Yeah.
Where they go, because I don't expect, because New Zealand, for a small country geographically, has a lot of geographical and geological variation.
Yeah.
And just because we're we north-south-wise long, so there's a lot of different climates. Otago could set something up in central Otago where you get so much sunshine in the summer.
Yeah.
Canterbury can look to play games, in mid-Canterbury or, deeper in, central districts has a bunch of places, including Nelson, every region except maybe Auckland.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Auckland's thing might be they play in Waiheke.
I'm sure we could find somewhere in the general Auckland region that we could create a more spin friendly pitch.
Is Northland part of Northern or Auckland's?
Northern districts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because it's basically up to Wellisford is Auckland, right?
Yeah. And then Northern districts is Northland and Waikato and the northern half of the North Island minus Auckland.
Yeah, minus Auckland. I mean
even the counties region is or at least Franklin is Northern districts, not Auckland, or was. They may have rezoned them at some point, but
almost everyone I know from Pukekohe ends up representing Northern districts.
That's That's the
like,
Franklin district.
Anecdotally, that sounds correct.
Yeah. It was when I was growing up. It was not that long ago. Say they may have redrawn it more recently, like over the last 5 to 10 years. But yeah, Ko was always part of the Northern Districts. So.
Yeah, I mean, Auckland itself has a lot of climate variation.
Yeah,
now.
that's just during the day.
Well, like you said, like one of like I said, like my idea for doing it in Waiheke is just, it would be fun to just go to Waiheke and watch first-class cricket games.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a good
That would be a
plan.
great boutique venue location. Like New Zealand's test matches, Auckland test matches are on Waiheke.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. I mean, the public transport system to get them there, people there, is perhaps not the best, but yeah, still be awesome. So
that's okay. Sure, they absolutely fleece you on public holidays, but if you're going with the cricket ticket, that's free.
Yeah. No, the problem tends to be getting home after events on Waiheke, where the ferries don't really pay attention to the fact that there's a lot more people now on the island wanting to get off the island. I mean, it might be okay if just everybody stayed there, but...
I mean, I can't speak to other days. Jazz Festival time, Waiheke, you can happily catch a ferry at midnight and it'll be there.
Oh, okay,
like,
they might have sorted some of their issues out then. I was thinking in the past, I have known several events where that just didn't happen and people were just like, hello? And the ferry were just like, we're finished for the day. Well, night.
Yeah, but like this is purely Jazz Festival, and they know there are people who want to take that late ferry. Like, they know that they're not gonna, otherwise you're stuck.
Yeah.
And like, especially if you haven't booked accommodation to stay in Waiheke, what are you gonna do? Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I still remember, because Waiheke, Jazz Festival's over Easter, and I remember, because I caught the last ferry, I think it might have been 11 o'clock, not 12.
Yeah.
And we got to town just before midnight, because it's roughly half an hour takes to get there, like...
Roughly, yeah.
It might have been 11:15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we, literally as we got off the ferry, there's like a giant queue outside Providore for people waiting to get into the club. It's Saturday, like it's gonna open exactly midnight, and they were packed.
Yeah.
Like we were like, let's go to Providore for a quiet drink if they're open, and we're like, oh, okay, no, it's actually proper Providore. It's not even. It's actually Saturday night.
Yeah, just Saturday night. Just have to wait a bit.
Yeah. But like everybody was keen in waiting, like that was just the funny thing about it.
That is funny, yeah.
But the that all aside, I think New Zealand's summer, like there were still some highlights despite losing test matches to South Africa.
Yeah.
The team started their World Test Championship campaign in Bangladesh.
Yep.
2 test series, 1-1. I think getting a drawn series away from home is always a good outcome, but I think New Zealand batted very poorly in that first test match.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. I think they sort of just admitted that as well, like it was just poor.
And they were lucky to kind of win that second test match because it was such a bad wicket. Even Tim Southee admitted like it's the worst wicket.
Yeah, it was just straight up horrendous.
They managed to win by 4 wickets in the second test match.
Yeah.
They did a bit. They started off the one-dayers in New Zealand a bit easy because Bangladesh came on a return tour for white ball cricket. They won their match at the University Oval and lost in Nelson, but they lost their final game in
Napier.
Napier, where New Zealand basically collapsed.
Yeah, that was a big collapse
run
there.
all out. But they batted pretty well in those first two games.
Not too bad in the first two games.
Because New Zealand ODIs, other than I think Hamilton and Auckland, 250s generally, and I think Napier you tend to get a few around the Napier you get a bit more around the 280 mark. This is for ODIs.
Yeah.
And Wellington a bit 280 mark.
Yeah.
Like 2015 World Cup, we had a bunch of 300 plus scores from New Zealand all over the country, but that was a very high scoring summer.
That was
I remember going
a special time.
Yeah, because I went to Nelson and I think Scotland scored 340 against Bangladesh, which Bangladesh chased down with
that's right, yeah.
3 or 4 overs to spare.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We had to get home because we were catching the last flight out of Nelson, so we couldn't see the end.
Oh no.
So when we left, there was still 10 overs to go.
Yeah.
10, 15 overs to go. But yeah, obviously it was a great game. It was close. It wasn't like Scotland got thrashed. It's just that Bangladesh, in the end, it was comfortable. There was just moments where it could have been...
Yeah.
Could have gone one way or the other. Nelson, great place to watch cricket, as I've said many times, and it's a nice little airport there as well.
Yeah.
You might mistake it for just another, barn in the city. It's slightly larger than all the others, but it's still nice, very efficient. Staff are very friendly.
Sounds good. I haven't had the pleasure of a trip to Nelson, so...
It makes Queenstown Airport look big. I presume you've been to Queenstown.
I haven't actually flown into Queenstown. I've driven into Queenstown each time, but I have seen the airport many times, just from the more outside bit, so I do know how small it is for an international airport.
Yeah. Queenstown can actually have jets fly there.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
That's more the size of the runway than anything, but yeah.
Yeah. But it handles that type of passenger load.
Yeah. Oh, let's say it is an actual international airport, so yeah, it has all the facilities it needs. They say it's still small for what it is.
Absolutely. But going back to Bangladesh, they moved on to their T20 series. They liked the Hawke's Bay because they won their game in Napier, the first one.
Yeah.
And the first game at the Mount was abandoned. We were thinking about going to that game, so it ended up and not happening. And the New Year's Eve, Bangladesh lost the Mount again. New Zealand tends to like playing Bangladesh at the Mount. They usually have a few games there with them. There's a Bangladeshi quote-unquote big Bangladeshi contingent in Tauranga and the Bay area. Moving on, they taking the New Year's period off. New Zealand's played Pakistan.
Yeah.
And Auckland, winning the first. Winning the T20 series, winning the first 3 T20Is before finally losing down in last two down in Christchurch.
Just the last one. 4-3-1 as well.
Sorry, 4-1. Yeah.
4-1.
Right.
Once again, a bit of a collapse in the last one there.
Yeah. Well, it's a T20 World Cup year, so New Zealand, there is a lot of things they'll want to get it into form
Yeah.
For the tournament when it arrives. Going on from, we will be reviewing the T20 World Cup when it happens.
Yeah, of course.
This year in the West Indies and the US
Yeah.
of A.
Pretty special, really.
Yeah. Then New Zealand started its first home test match.
Yeah.
At Mount Maunganui, playing against South Africa.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
First time New Zealand's won a test series against South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's good to finally break that hoodoo.
And
obviously,
I said it at the time, but that's why. Yeah, I know there's some Australians saying, cricket commentators and such like saying, South Africa was being disrespectful, setting the quality side they did, and New Zealand should just not play them. I'm like, no, I'm taking my goddamn series win against South Africa, thank you very much. They can send over a lot of first-class cricketers. We'll play our top team, we'll win, we'll take our series wins. I don't care.
There are the 1964 Wallabies will take their 5-0 beating of the All Blacks every time. It doesn't matter that there were two other All Black teams touring South Africa and England at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
When that was happening, it was a test match, and they beat the All Blacks 5-0.
Yeah. Goes on the record books. We beat South Africa 2-0, reasonably handily. Well, especially in that first test when we played actual sports.
Yeah, I mean, first test they played exactly how I thought they should have played. Second test, I think the fact that South Africa came as close as they nearly did is where you go. There's a bit of history in this game, but New Zealand, seems to beat South Africa in ICC tournaments when it's important.
Yeah.
Only when it's important, not any other time.
No. Has to have something riding on it.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of that second test was interesting because I thought our team selection was like, we had I think we had Satner in the first test.
Yeah,
and
he was very important in that test.
And he bowled really well, and South Africa didn't take a frontline spinner. They just had Brand as their part-time spinner, and he turned out being basically their best bowler of the match, of the series, really, but of that match. And it sort of showed, look, you don't take a frontline spinner into a New Zealand test match. Doesn't matter how green the pitch is, like, you're going to struggle. And then New Zealand took the lessons of that, and for the next 3 test matches, didn't pick a frontline spinner. And that South African one in Hamilton was a lot closer than it probably should have been. And I feel like a lot of that goes on the fact that you really should have had, like, a quote-unquote proper spinner. Like, no disrespect to Phillips and Ravindra. Like, they're good spinners, but they're second, they're 5th, 6th line bowlers. They're second spinners. You need to have a full-time spinner in your squad, and then those two are supplementing as they need to, depending on what you need. Like, and they do supplement each other. Like, they're left and right hand. Yes, So, like, it'd be a good balance if we just had even say Satner, but Satner is a frontline spinner, but Satner's sort of other end of it, which is a decent enough spinner and also sort of can hold the bat, so therefore holds the space that way. But even if it is the likes of Ajaz
he's a Wish, New Zealand's version of Ravi Jadeja that they bought off Wish.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a good fielder, a good batter, good finger spinner. Just this is the Ravi Jadeja we have at home.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't
feel that's harsh on
That's not
Satna, but
disrespectful
also
to
true.
Satner because Ravi Judea is the #1 all-rounder in the world. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has been for like the last 5 years.
Yeah,
He is really good.
he is really good. So it sounds bad, but at the same time, like, I would take that if I was Satna. Like, no, I mean, compared to Ravinder, to Jadeja, I should say. Like, 100% I'm taking that.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, compared to the best there is, yeah, sure. If you're going to talk to me about me in the same way, in the same sentence, that's good.
Yeah. It would be like, if somebody was like, you're like the Wish version of Brian Lara. I'm like, that's still really good. We're talking about Brian Lara here.
It's like, I'll take that. I will be that good.
Yeah. And I think it was a bit predictable. Like, New Zealand, I think, starting off with the T20s, Australia got into a roll.
Yeah.
Winning that first game in the last ball in Wellington. And then winning the next 2 matches handily, which I did watch live.
Yeah. I was with you on that first one.
Yeah, we watched the first one together with another listener of ours.
Yeah.
And third one I watched with my family, including my daughter, who, despite claiming to want to talk about cricket in our podcast, did not really take to the sport like duck to water, shall we say.
Right.
She thought the highlight of the day was taking the train there and back.
Fair enough. That is very highlight worthy though.
She thought Henderson Station's really, really cool, which I agree.
Alright, yeah. She's got good taste in train stations.
Yeah. Actually, also shout out to Newlands Station. Looks really nice now.
Oh, really?
Like, I didn't go to have a look, but the station looks really, really nice.
Right, yeah.
From inside the train.
Yeah.
Like, Newlands Station used to be like whatever,
Yeah.
Like a parking lot next to a train station next to the mall, but now it's like kind of cool.
Yeah, I haven't been to Newlands for a while.
The line has actually got 2 nice-looking stations. The Glen Eden one always looks kind of nice because that's an proper old station,
Alright, yeah.
And it's got like it's got a saloon and everything.
Oh, wow.
Out there.
Yeah.
And so I've always kind of liked that station, but all the others are basically like little small neighborhood train stations.
Yeah.
But public transport aside, the New Zealand watching cricket live did not give me any results.
No.
I think the only time I've watched New Zealand beat Australia in a live test match that actually no, I've seen it twice. That was the game with Marcus Stoinis, where Kane Williamson got the run out in the second to last over.
Oh, yes.
Which was an incredible performance by him. Like, deserved man of the match, given what position they were in, that he came back from. And like, that was the only time in my life I felt bad for an Australian player for not winning a cricket game against us.
Yeah.
Like, I would have felt bad for Glenn Maxwell if they hadn't beaten Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if he had, not hit the, they needed a 6 off the last ball or something and he couldn't get there, because that was epic.
Yeah, amazing.
Like, one of the most epic performances I've ever seen.
Yeah. You'd feel for him, like you say, if you needed 6 off the last ball and hit a 4 or something, you'd just be like, oh, yeah, you did everything you possibly can.
Yeah. You dragged them kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Across, but yeah, and I feel like that match, like Maxwell's game, is what gave Australia that confidence to win the final against India. Like, they knew they were going to win.
Yeah, did feel like a turning point for the Australian campaign, really.
Yeah.
Like, Maxwell dragged them screaming and kicking, like, we're not losing things. We're not losing to Afghanistan. I don't care. We're doing this. And that sort of just reinvigorated them. Not that Australians need much reinvigorating normally, but I think it sort of just pushed them along that little bit. They felt like they needed something
Yeah.
that was it. Something they could rally behind.
Pretty much. So the form from the T20s, as we said, New Zealand, I think, made some very questionable decisions regarding selection. The batting was also pretty ordinary in both test matches. It was better in this second test match by a little bit.
Yeah. Nearly enough to drag us back into a winning position on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, if they had batted just a bit longer in that second innings, gotten like a 400 plus score, and if we had a spinner, as you mentioned,
it would have been, could have been a different story there, but that first innings could have been a bit better too. Like, that was a pretty poor first innings still.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Henry, I think, though, bowled really well throughout the summer. We didn't mention him in our conversation about bowlers, but he is around the same age as your Tim Southees and
he's
Cohen.
32 and a bit.
Yeah, so 32 and a bit. So he's a bit younger.
Yeah,
but not
Southees
like
35. No, exactly. Yeah. It's not like that's. Unfortunately for Henry, he's not the one to look to lead the line when Southey bows out. Like, he's going to be only a season or two behind. So Bolt's already gone from the test season. Wagner's retired. There's probably question marks around how that's gone ahead, but he has retired. So, and I think that's the other thing to speak about as well. Like, they're obviously looking at Scott Kugelheim as sort of a replacement there, especially. And I don't think that's a good replacement. I'm not.
Scott Kugelheim's issues, legal problems he's had.
There's that as well.
I'm not saying that they're nothing. I'm just saying, like, even if we didn't think about it.
Yeah, if we park that to the side,
Parking that aside, I think he's probably a fine white ball bowler. But he's also 32, and I don't see what it is about him that would make him be like Matt Henry has pace.
Yeah.
He has pace and accuracy. You know? So if nothing else, he can be a workhorse in a team.
Yeah.
He can lead the team a bit if the conditions favor him.
Yeah. Henry's
Kyle Jamieson and O'Rourke are tall and strong, you know, and Sears has pace.
Yeah.
And Sears seems to swing the ball.
And O'Rourke has reasonable pace as well. Like, Sears is pacier.
Yes.
But
but O'Rourke, we're not relying on the pace. He does, you know, if O'Rourke slowed down, he would still be dangerous.
Yeah.
As a bowler.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Whereas, I don't see what Scott Kugelheim's bringing to the table.
No.
It's one thing if he's there as we have so many injuries, we have to play him. That's one thing. But but he's not really, like, age-wise, he's not really one for the future. Like, he's developed. This is his game. I don't think we're gonna see him improve more or develop new skills as per se.
No. So I watched him play those two tests in Australia, and it's like, what is he bringing that Satner wouldn't have? Like, Satner would have given a completely different option for bowling as well. Better bowler, better batter, better fielder. Like, why are we not picking Satner? Why do we have to have Kugelheim just because Kugelheim is almost a Wagner-like bowler? And, like, well, we can't have Wagner. And the other thing is, you know, just pick Wagner.
The big reason why Wagner is effective bowling the way he does with his bouncers and his swing bowling is he's a lefty.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to ignore that, you know, these bowlers are not left-handed.
There's that as well.
They're not bringing that into the play.
Yeah.
So, yes, unfortunately, that does mean that you are less effective. Like, at least even someone like Auckland's Ben Lister, he's a lefty at least.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you know, he brings that to
Yeah,
the table.
That's a good point.
He's got a decent first-class record. You don't know how, if or how that might translate in at higher level. Like, but you know, there's something there to work around with. Like Gary Stead's team and you know the team around the New Zealand cricket team can, you know, do something to build. There's something to build around in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see what there is with Scott Kugelheim. So that like it's a baffling selection. Even if you picked a different spinner, like you picked an Ajaz Patel or an Ish Sodhi.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that would have been the right decision. I'm just saying that's at least something.
Yeah. I think that would have looked a better team. Like.
And like technically, like with Kugelheim, Adam Milne is younger than Kugelheim. I'd rather have Adam Milne any day of the week if he's fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Adam Milne is proper wheels, or at least bowls like somebody who's proper wheels, right? Like
Yeah.
He is like, he's a predator. He's looking to get those wickets with pace. Like he's at least Lockie Ferguson quick, which is good enough. Lockie Ferguson, he's not as smart as Lockie Ferguson, who's like, you know, like this wily competitor who's good at multiple different bowling conditions. He's just has fitness issues, or rather he's a bit injury prone rather than fitness issues as per se.
Yeah. Exactly. It is definitely a bit more of the injury options.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, people like New Zealand, like unfortunately, I think there was a time around the late 90s to early mid 2000s where we had so many lefty pace bowlers, but it's not a coincidence, I think, that our strongest bowling lineup era had two left arm pace bowlers.
Yeah.
Basically, we had not a Wish version of Wasim Akram, we had a Costco version of Wasim Akram in Trent Bolt.
Yeah.
Because Costco's still like, you know, you're paying 80%, 90. You're paying like 80% of the price for something that's 90% of the quality of the top tier, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the Costco model, so that's Trent Bolt.
Okay.
And you had a unicorn, effectively, in Wagner.
Yeah.
And you had another unicorn with Jameson.
Yeah.
Like nobody who's that tall bowls full like that without floating it. Like he actually can bowl full and short. Like he can actually mix it up.
Yeah.
Without getting smashed around when he bowls full. Like that was his bowling superpower, and like that's a great superpower. Even if that's the only thing you can do, like, you know, and he doesn't really need to develop much else other than like accuracy and a bit of change of pace, maybe here and there. But that's about it. Like,
yeah.
Your main power is already so strong.
You
can get on the Avengers if all you can do is fly, right?
Pretty much,
because flight is so good.
Exactly. It's like, this is the best. Don't do anything else.
I feel like there's a bit of thought process that needs to go into that before we have our next, before New Zealand has their next summer season when England come, because England are a team we've done well against in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so I think New Zealand should look. If New Zealand can sweep that England series, I'm not saying they can. Brendan McCullum's bringing the baseball.
Yeah.
Here, but we did do reasonably well against England when the last time they toured.
Yeah.
Here, so I think there's a lot of opportunity, but we got to get that bowling right.
Yeah. Oh, it's selection.
Nothing else. We need to develop a spin bowler, a slower bowling option, who's not Rachin Ravindra or Glenn Phillips.
Yeah. We can develop them as backups, as additional options.
As fifth bowlers, they're fine.
Exactly. They share the fifth bowler. No, exactly. They should share that.
Fifth bowlers at a pinch. They're a back. Fifth bowler at a pinch, sixth bowler really is what they are. If you've got 5 bowlers in your lineup, like including your all-rounder.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you could probably say that together they can make that fifth bowler one so that you can take an extra batter, which gives us a bit more depth in our batting, which was especially when you add Mitchell in as well. Like, you've got the 3 of them to share that fifth bowler duties as such. I think the 3 of them are good enough and you've got enough variation there and enough coverage that you could probably do without a fifth. You can have your fourth bowler as the all-rounder, and then basically bring in an extra batter, so you bat a little deeper.
Yeah.
It should just sort of help that a bit, and help develop our batters a bit. But as you say, we know who our batters are going forward. Like, that's a very clear pathway. It's about getting them the experience and building up a bit of cover for them as well. So having Ravindra, having Phillips, having Mitchell there to cover the bowling aspects.
Phillips, Ravindra, Mitchell, Young. They're
Young
all
as well.
Solid, all solid technique batters. They're gonna go in and out of form. Obviously,
got Conway as well. Obviously,
Conway is there, but Conway is in his 30s.
Is he now?
Latham's in his 30s, but they're gonna be. Like, at least the openers are there. Kane Williamson, however many years he's got left, like that's just not going to be an easy batter to swap out for.
No. Well, you just accept that that's not happening, right? Williamson goes, that's a big loss, but you just got to bat around that.
And you're just going to have to hope everybody else in the team improves in an aggregate to kind of replaces runs enough that whoever comes in isn't immediately expected to be the next Williamson.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Rachin Ravindra is being kind of groomed to be that number 3.
Yeah.
Eventually, once retired. And I think Glenn Phillips is a natural number 4. It's more who would be our openers other than Will Young once Conway or Latham retire.
Yeah. You're right. Conway's a bit older than I thought he was in my head. So.
Like, even Daryl Mitchell is in his early 30s, and he can open because, he can do anything, and we kind of just put him wherever we need him to. Like opener, number 3, number 4, number 5. He's batted all of those spots. Yeah,
he just bats anywhere in the order, really, which is great. And he does well at anywhere in the order. So.
Pretty much. But, even if he opened with Will Young eventually, I don't know if that'll be this season. At least we still have Conway, who has a good record against England. And we still have Latham, who has a good record against England. So at least if the openers are solid, you can... And if Kane Williamson is still there, like I said, the batting... England's bowling is not something I'm afraid of.
No.
It's their batting, right? And I don't see how we beat their batters, quote unquote, without a spin bowler.
Yeah. No, we need that spin option, really, when they come. And at the moment that's just gonna have to be Satner, and they have to stop not picking him, basically. He is our mainline spinner, because they want to actually take Ajas, and play him in a New Zealand Test.
I don't mind it, or you decide that Aditya Ashok is the truth and let him start playing him now, let him develop over the next 5 or 6 years, and except he's not going to be great all the way because he's still learning his game. And in 5 or 6 years, we might have an international caliber wrist spinner.
Yeah.
Playing test matches.
That would be nice if we could have a long-term development plan like that. But I think the New Zealand cricket selectors have shown over the last little bit that's not what they do with wrist spinners. So.
Well, any spinners, to be fair.
To any spinners, to be fair. Spinners that can't bat.
He's not looked awful.
Maybe he might be okay then if he's got a little bit of batting.
21.
It was plenty of time to develop, yeah. And maybe that's it. If he can, not what you want to say, but if he can get his batting up to a decent enough standard, then maybe he could have a reasonably long stint in the New Zealand team, or near the New Zealand team, that he would get that experience, as you say, and be able to hone his craft. Because I think the other unfortunate thing is, unless because New Zealand cricket actually start pushing more spin-friendly environments and pitches in New Zealand, like the first-class scene is not going to grow our spinners.
Yes. Look, really we should just ask if Amelia Kerr can play for the men.
Oh, I mean, I'm down with that. 100%.
Like, that's the solution, right?
Yeah.
We cheat. But the other way.
Yeah. We cheat in the way that's not actually cheating. We're like, it's open grade, right?
Yeah. But I don't want to put too much pressure on young Ashok. He's just turned 21.
Yeah.
Let him enjoy, obviously he should learn to develop his game a bit in first class and go out on tours and, games like against England, or if we've lost the first 2 test matches, let him play the third.
Yeah.
We're not making the finals. If we're not making the finals, why not let him play and develop his in New Zealand, and then he can go again. Where New Zealand are about to tour Pakistan for a T20 series. I wouldn't mind if they took him along to play there. He's played a single ODI already.
Oh, has he? Okay, that's
so
good.
They do see him as somebody who can play in white ball cricket. And I get that because, if he's a wrist spinner and he can become international caliber, the world's his oyster as a wrist spinner, really, because there'll be league contracts for days, but, we know from how it always plays out that T20 wrist spin doesn't make you good at tests.
No. It's just a completely different thing.
T20 wrist spinners are awesome because they can bowl 6 different variations at you in an over perfectly, or good enoughly.
Yeah.
That you can't figure out how to make contact with the delivery. Whereas, test match leg spin is all about bowling that stock ball perfectly over and over again.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the exception that proves the rule are people like Shane Warne. They played way back when. And one of the greatest bowlers of all time. If that's your argument, that's not an argument.
No, exactly. The best, but he was a freak, so he did his stuff.
Yeah. And then New Zealand will go on to play in the T20 World Cup. They have drawn Afghanistan, the West Indies, Uganda, and Papua New Guinea in their group.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting to see Uganda, their first ICC tournament for the men. The cricket has been going up leaps and bounds in the last few years, as has all over Africa, really.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that team, how they perform at the World Cup. But yeah, the men, what do we give their grade for the summer? D?
C.
C minus?
Yeah, I think
I
it's...
don't think it's a B because, they should at least have drawn the test series against Australia.
Yeah. I'd say I don't think it could be a B. I think it's a C. Probably... Maybe it's just a straight C. I thought maybe a C+, but... Like, we lost that first test against Bangladesh, and then we won the second one. But...
Yeah, and...
Lost against Australia.
We played unconvincingly in our second test against South Africa Seaside.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm just giving them a straight C.
Alright. Moving on to the White Ferns.
Yeah.
They were in South Africa in October.
Yeah.
The T20 series had a bunch of rainouts to begin with, and then New Zealand won one test match and South Africa won another.
Yeah.
Both very, very close. Then they came home to play the Pakistani women. Pakistan winning their first T20I in Dunedin. I think it's their first T20I victory in New Zealand as well.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
And they then followed that up with another win in Dunedin, so they definitely like playing in Otago. And the White Ferns got some pride, so they won that T20 series 2-1. I'm pretty sure that's their first series victory in New Zealand.
Yeah. And the New Zealand White Ferns looked, especially in that first T20, looked poor. Like, the Pakistani women deserved that first one. The second one as well, like, it just was... Yeah.
Yes.
I mean...
I think it's Pakistan exposed the problem that the White Ferns have had for a while, and that they are overly reliant on three players.
Yeah.
Two absolute legend players, Susie Bates, Sophie Devine, and like Malia Kerr, the captain, who
Amelia Kerr,
23,
she's awesome.
Amelia Kerr,
yeah, exactly. I think, was it the last?
Like she's probably the most talented cricketer born in New Zealand since Kane Williamson.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so. Sure, you can build a team around her. Susie and Sophie are obviously at some point going to retire.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do in that White Ferns team to rebuild for the future. And I think we kind of saw that a bit in the ODIs as well. Pakistan, there was a tied game. And Pakistan, while they lost, but like the New Zealand women did manage to get a very good victory in the first, in that first test match. It was a very close game in that second ODI. And going on from that, the New Zealanders played against England. Starting off with the T20 series. They won the first two games, and the English women came back in the next two.
The first two were just tour matches, and then
those are just tour matches. They're not part of the...
Yeah.
So
it's a bit weird it says England Day, but
England won both of them.
Yeah. And then we won the third one. Then they took the T20 series 4-1 and the ODI series 2-1. So yeah, they pretty much beat us. I think one of the ODIs we finally had, it might have even been the last one, finally had someone, say, not of those big three, not a Bates, Devine or Kerr, scoring runs. No, Devine scored 100 in that one. Other ODIs. Basenholt, the other opener with Susie Bates, actually scoring some runs. The first one scored a century. I think she scored a century in one of the games. And it was the first time, basically, since forever ago, that Divine Bates or Amelia Kerr wasn't the one scoring the century. Which is say, when you look like that, you see how reliant the New Zealand team is on those three. Especially since at least two of them also are like the workhorses of the bowling side. So
yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So
They're definitely very reliant. It's incredible that someone like Amelia Kerr at like 23 already has 4, centuries to her name, and she is an absolute gun bowler. No question. She's basically the White Ferns' actual Ravi Jadeja player.
Yeah, exactly. So ODIs, she's got a batting average, batting average over 40, and a bowling average under 30. So 90 wickets, as you say, in those 4 centuries, the highest score of 232 not out. So pretty crazy how good she is. You say, and for only being 23. So.
Exactly. Like I said, she's the second best cricketer to be born in New Zealand since Kane Williamson.
Yeah.
And she's young. She's everything you can build a team around. There's still a few experienced players.
Yeah.
But the White Ferns are not the force they used to be. Like, I think at one point we were pretty confident we would confidently say they're the third best team in the world after Australia and England. And look, fine, even if they were fourth now, because India are so good, the women's team.
Yeah.
Right now, it's even that would be fine. But I think even now, they're not even in the top 4, and arguably not in the top 5, because I don't think the White Ferns are as good as South Africa and Bangladesh are currently number 4 because they're so good now.
Right. Yeah. I think the White
first series against India at home.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. I mean, the current rankings for them, for ODIs anyway, as New Zealand at 5th. So but I think that's a little historic, and say things are on the
I mean,
way
T20s
down.
I was talking about specifically because the women play so much more T20s than
T20s.
ODIs even nowadays.
Well, they're still 4th in the T20s as well, but once again I feel like that's there's a downward trajectory there, and the likes of South Africa, West Indies, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan on a upward trajectory. So whether New Zealand can hold on to that going forward is a different thing. But we're holding it for the moment. But I say the part of it to me seems that it's once again same thing. There's just doesn't feel to be the same development behind Bates and Divine, really. You got Kerr, you got a generational player, but there needs to be the work put in to build the rest of the team out.
I always feel that because it feels to me a bit like Suzie Bates and Sophie Devine still played a bit of first-class cricket when they were growing up, so they've developed. Amelia Kerr is just a freak. She's just raw talent, just how good she is. But the next generation of players are not playing as much first class, and that's ironically women teams are playing more test matches, but not anyone outside the top 3 really.
Yeah.
I mean, South Africa are getting a few, but it's very Suzie. It's crazy to me that people as good as Sophie Devine and Suzie Bates will never play a test match.
I know, that is just crazy to think of.
And Amelia Kerr might go her career without playing one. as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But the team, like I said, the team have things, building blocks, and there are young players coming up the ranks, as you said, especially in the batting department. And they have a really, really good leg spinner and Amelia Kerr in your team. And leg spin is the cheat code for women's cricket.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's cheat code anywhere sometimes, generally, but yeah, it's definitely. You're right that they've got some good young talent coming through, and that's a little bit of it as well. Like at the moment, we had a good team. There's been a few retirements. You've got sort of Devine and Bates left as mainstays of that, and it's just the rest of them coming through and trying to fill themselves out. I mean, I still got Maddie Green. She's been around a while, but like Hannah Rose, decent bowler, but she's youngish.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about the bowling lineup. I feel like New Zealand's fielding and bowling are always pretty good.
I mean, you got the other Kerr as well. You got the older Kerr.
Yes.
Jess Kerr. She's actually really good as well. It's just from about Jess, when you have the other as your younger sister, you're like, no, nobody's gonna remember what I do.
People still sometimes remember Nathan McCullum.
Yeah, I suppose. We know he was there.
And Jeff Crow.
Yeah.
To be fair, Jeff Crow actually captained the team, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think, to be fair, Jeff Crow might be the best example of people going, oh yeah, that's right, he was really good. Just that, but he's not Martin, so.
Yeah, he wasn't a generational talent.
Yeah, I think that might be the best example.
Twins situation.
No, I think the Crows are the best analogy here, where it's like, yeah, that's right. Jeff Crow was a really good player. He just wasn't Martin Crow, so.
We're not even talking about the actual elephant in the room. There's like 3 Hadley brothers before Richard.
Yeah.
Who all played.
Yeah.
And his dad was captain of the team for a long time.
But if you say Hadley, there's only one Hadley you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the goat of this country, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, all these things are very true. And I think, unfortunately, Jess is really good, but she probably will fall into that same problem. But but to feel like the rest of the there was in that last ODI there was 2, 3, 4, 5, like half the team were under. Oh no, over half the team were under like 23, and then you got Hannah and Jess included in that who are 26. So.
Yeah. So I think you're right. Because they're under 20, a lot of these players are under 23. They're gonna take a while. Like they're not gonna burst onto the scene like Amelia did.
No. And
they're gonna slowly make their way to be get the career that they're gonna have. And there's still a bit of experience in both the batting and bowling. So it's kind of almost analogous to when Stephen Fleming first, like less disastrous, because Stephen Fleming literally was given a hospital pass when he started captaining the Black Caps, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like rock bottom for the team after that, tour of South Africa.
And
just having more and more bad outcomes, and then eventually he leads the team to the first ICC trophy title that the Black Caps have won, with a team that wasn't the best in the world or the best, like that team in 2000 didn't have Shane Bond, so he didn't have a gun bowler.
Yeah.
In his team. There were good batters, including himself. The ace of that team was Chris Keynes, and he was man of the tournament for that tournament as well, and man of the match in the finals. But you know, that kind of proved how not that good they were. Like, as good a player as Chris Keynes is, you know, there is a lot of asterisks involved with his record and like his legacy as a cricket player.
Yes, quite a few asterisks on that one, unfortunately. But yeah, as you say, for that tournament, he was man of the tournament. He was the one that stood up and played really well to see New Zealand through. So.
Yeah. Oh, he did have a gun wicket keeper who was awesome at wicket keeping. Like Adam Perore, really good batter as well. But one of the best wicket keepers I've ever seen play for New Zealand.
Definitely one of the best New Zealand wicket keepers. In fact, I think I still have him as my wicket keeper in a New Zealand best of, first 11.
Also, he was when they did a poll of who was of the biggest sledgers in world cricket, he was number 1, and then all the rest in the top 10 were Australians. So
that actually rings true. Everything about that stat is like, I'll accept that. And Ferrari and the rest of the Australians.
So he's definitely world class.
Yeah. As I say, I'd probably have him as my wicketkeeper, and just have Brendan McCullum opening. There in a sort of a New Zealand first 11, but like that's a.
In your all-time Test 11?
In a Test 11, I think I'd have Perore as a keeper and have McCullum opening. Or McCullum batting there somewhere. I know, it's just... I go backwards and forwards on it.
Who do you open with? In
Test?
Are you not picking Glenn Turner, arguably one of the greatest openers ever?
No, I have to bring Glenn Turner. I'd say... No, I have to go back and remember. This is where I always fall down.
So you gotta pick Glenn Turner.
Yeah.
You probably have to pick Tom Latham.
Yeah.
Left hand, right hand.
Yes. Williamson at 3,
Kane
obviously.
Williamson number 3.
Crow at number 4.
I think I would still put Ross Taylor at number 4. I put Crow at 5 because he can bat with the tail, and he did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Throughout his career, and he can face the second new ball. Ross Taylor loves being number 4. He's a run machine.
Fair enough.
You know my philosophy of what a number 4 should be in Test matches.
Yeah. No, I accept that. So Crow 5 and captain, yeah.
Captain? No, I think my number 6. See, this is why my number 6 is John Reid as an all-rounder, and I would pick Brendan McCullum at number 7, wicketkeeper, because wicketkeeper batters bat number 7. Like that's a really strong batting lineup.
Yeah.
Daniel Vittori at number 8.
Yep.
Richard Hadley at number 9.
Yeah.
And then you pick Shane Bond and Trent Boult.
Yeah.
The only issue here is you can justify picking Neil Wagner over Shane Bond, I think, because he's a better first change than any other bowler we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like first change and second new ball and like second innings bowler.
Yeah.
Trent, absolutely need to pick him. Like, he's so good.
Yeah.
Hadley, absolutely need to pick him.
There's no question there.
Back in the day, I would have said Shane Bond, but he's had a short career. He doesn't have 100 wickets. Absolute beast of a player.
No, I think prime Boult is
Prime Boult is in your team, and he's your first change probably.
Yeah. You give Hadley the new ball, Boult on the other end, and then Wagner's the...
Hadley the new ball, he's gonna go into his car and drive away.
Yeah, no, that's... I mean, if you don't give Hadley the new ball, whoever else is left in the country revolts and kills you. Because, like, what other option is there? Like, no, okay. Hadley gets the new ball, he chooses this direction. Trent Bolt comes in the other direction. There's our opening partnership, bowling partnership. We're sorted. So, you can have a question about, who your first changes, if it's Wagner or if that's Bond or Southey or whoever. But I think the opening two, there's no question. The same. First over goes to Hadley, second over goes to Bolt. And the spinner, Vittori, no questions.
I would tell John Reed to not worry about medium pace, just focus on his off spin.
Yeah.
Because he used to bowl off spin, medium pace, and also wicket keep, right? Like he
was everything.
While also batting, so a 4-tool player, right? So,
yeah.
And an incredible fielder as well. Because he's a giant, he's bigger than Jacob Orum's size.
Yeah.
So, tall off spinner who can bat like him, he'd be incredible. This team, he doesn't need to worry about doing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. As always, you make good points.
Right. The other potential reason to pick Wagner over Bond is he's the only guy who's not a giant. So you've actually got a skiddy left arm. Like, there's just so many variations, but you don't have an out-and-out pace guy, so you can't justify not having Bond.
Yeah. I think you're potentially right. That's the biggest question mark there is Bond or Wagner.
The other thing is if you decide John Reed is an out-and-out all-rounder, a proper all-rounder, you could justify Wagner ahead of Vittori.
Yeah. That makes some sense as well in the batting lineup. That would give you a little bit more.
You don't lose anything because he's batting at 8. Shane Bond can bat.
Yeah.
Trent Bolt can bat. Neil Wagner can bat.
Yeah. Wagner definitely is a decent batter. I think to me that's perhaps the bigger the bigger benefit.
As good as Vittori at batting. Like Vittori, later on in his career, was a batting all-rounder, right?
Yeah.
Which is why you can justify going, well, are we losing much by making a John Reed?
Yeah. A little bit for Matt. Oh, no, I'm going to take back what I'm saying. No, I think you're right. Yeah, Vittori in there, doesn't matter. You got John Reed, you got Vittori, that's batting depth enough, really. And you say, and of the options below, like Wagner's actually batting depth as well. As he was standardly the Night's Watchman and did good jobs of that, so like he can definitely bat. Not saying that Bond can't or Bolt can't, but they weren't. I think Wagner's a better batter than the two of them. So, like, potentially, you're right, not quite pushing later day Vittori, but also not that far off it.
Yeah, and you've got Hadley at 8.
Yeah.
With this lineup.
Exactly.
You're not losing much.
No, exactly. When Hadley's batting 8, you're like, yeah, that's right. We bat all the way down.
Yeah.
Because
with Vittori, he bats 9, which is incredible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking. Yeah, I think Hadley might even bat as high as 6 sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think John Reed more than capable of batting 6. That's a good spot for him. He's an aggressive batter who's also bowling, so he feels like he's doing stuff all the time in the game.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting the best out of his. He did famously score that 80 against the West Indies in our first ever Test match batting number 4. So that's how good he is.
Yeah.
So he can bat at number 4.
Yeah.
And often did. But if he's batting number 6, easy. Second new ball after T.
Yeah. Good run.
Yeah. And you can promote him if you're batting really well. Like the openers take you out to T, take you up all the way up to T, and then you're like the bowlers are tired. They're we need to punish them now. Like put on someone like Ross Taylor or John Reed. You've got Kane Williamson up your sleeve, who can bat anywhere.
Exactly.
Like I trust Kane Williamson to bat anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is that Williamson's just going to bat the same no matter where he's batted, right? He goes out and you know what you're getting. You're getting the same thing, like every time.
Yeah.
So.
You've got two absolute like people who can bat in any situation and any condition.
Yeah.
To their with Martin Crowe and Kane Williamson.
Exactly.
And then you've got your others.
Yeah.
The other guys are all like obviously Jin is incredible, but he's opening, so you expect him to be the opener who bats the longer period just from his record. And all these all these players who have this mercurial record in New Zealand cricket, people, their legacies, like your Martin Crowes, your Glenn Turners, they're all gonna be like, we're playing in a team full of professionals. We no longer gripe. We're not dealing with amateurs.
We're not dealing with all the
talking about.
Yeah, with all the rest, but it's playing in a proper team now.
Yeah. And as long as you let Hadley do what he wants, it's fine. Like every player needs one guy. Every team needs one guy who does what they want.
Yeah.
Because he's just that good.
Yeah. The thing is, I think the entire team would just be like, Hadley does what he wants. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? the rest of them like, we're all professionals, we do this, and Hadley's just over there like, he does what he wants.
To be fair, so is he. And he's one of the reasons New Zealand cricket professionalized, like the players and the team professionalized.
I know.
In the 80s. Like how much of a, forget the numbers on, the numbers are incredible, of course, but forget the numbers. Like his impact on the culture of the team. So huge. It's like Brendan McCullum, same thing, right? Yeah, sure. Numbers, whatever. Good numbers. Impact on the culture, incredible.
Yeah. And just unable to be defined, basically. They are both generational change players. And they say, it's just crazy. And they say, not to make it sound before like...
New Zealand goats. They're the two New Zealand goats for me. For what they do.
Yeah.
For the team.
I can understand that. They can't really argue. I would, say somehow have goats which also include Williamson and Crowe, but they're the four for me.
Look, Crowe and Williamson are the most talented players.
Yeah.
On that team, and the most best at what they do. But what they do for the team, if you take intangibles into account, nobody beats Hadley, and the only second is Brendan McCullum.
Yeah. No, I understand that completely.
And Hadley's only the GOAT because he kept going on till he was 39 on his last running on fumes, doing all he could.
Yeah.
And,
definitely was just
he got 9 wickets. He beat Australia by an innings at the Gabba. So
yeah, I know it's just amazing what he's done and what he did during his time there. And then you're saying not even just playing, just the way he went about the game, what he did for the players, and then what he's done since then as well. He's kept in New Zealand cricket and done plenty for it over the last decades as well. So,
well, if we're counting even post-playing career, it's only him and John Reed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, exactly.
The late John Reid, who basically he's done everything for New Zealand cricket: coach, president, CEO, match referee. You know,
he was.
He's like the super volunteer in every club, except he's doing it at test level for the country.
I was about to say, he was the ultimate all-rounder, right? He took all-rounder to a whole new dimension. Just like, yeah, I'm an all-rounder. Yeah. That includes off the pitch, post-career, everything. Yeah. I do everything. So yeah, which is just amazing when you think about those two, as you say, and what they've done post their career as well.
Yeah. Though I think we have to give an honourable mention to Hogan post-playing career. Like, hey, he invented Cricket Max.
Yeah.
Which, okay, people love that, but like, you know, it's almost a proof of concept for T20s.
Yeah, exactly.
And he, like, the stuff he did for, like, how they cover the sport in Sky and in other media.
Yeah. I mean,
and, like, just later on, like, all the writings he wrote about cricket and what he thought about in the game. Like, you know, late career, Martin Crowe, as a writer, was my favorite cricket writer.
Yeah. I think the thing with Martin Crowe as well is that, you know, you talk about John Reid and his impact and how he's done everything, Hadley and his administration, but Crowe was actually, like, he's directly responsible for our current cricketing crop. Like, so many of them, you know, had him as a mentor, and as a person they went to, and were like, we need this, we need that. So, the actual current team and how good they are is because of Martin Crowe and what he did post his career. So, the reason why New Zealand cricket is sort of working as well as it is a lot to do with Hadley. Reid before that, you know, did everything and just kept the place running. But in terms of the actual playing talent and the players we've got, that is clearly just Martin Crowe, and like his fingerprints are over the entire team in some way.
Yeah. Also, I think in many ways, because of the way Martin Crowe was never a shrinking violet and always let his thoughts about, and he was happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, very happy to publicly talk about when he made the wrong call or when he did something, you know.
Yeah.
Like, he thought Ross Taylor was like just a dirty slugger when he first saw him play.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Why are you wasting my time with him?"
Yeah.
And then, like, slowly learned more about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, I just realized, like, you can never judge. First impressions mean nothing." And, like, you know, just the way it changes, like, how willing he was to, like, just, you know, learn lessons and learn from his mistakes. And
yeah.
It's like why I think he so resonated. You know, he resonated so well with everybody. Especially like all these series of articles he wrote during the Cricket World Cup before he passed away.
Yeah.
But, like, because I think he went very quickly from being a guy the New Zealand team ignored because he would just say stuff and never acknowledge he's wrong. Like, you know, they would literally be like, "Okay, boomer." Like, to him.
Yeah.
Even though he's a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
To being like, "Oh, okay. You know, if that's what Hogan says, you have to consider it."
Yeah.
Because he always, like, he stopped being like this, he'd be like, "I think this for this reasons. I could be wrong, but this is my logic behind why I think this."
Yeah.
And, but, yeah, as you say, those are the guys we've got. I think eventually we will probably have one of either, like, as a captain, there's only two great ones for me, because it's basically Fleming and McCullum. Right, McCullum had the better team, but he had to get them through a bad thing, and basically he created that culture which lasted for so long.
Yeah.
Like, that team that won the Test World Championship was built from DNA that came from Brendan McCullum. It was definitely Kane Williamson's team, but
Yeah. It still as you say, it still was the DNA.
His DNA and the bones. Yeah, it's from him.
Yeah.
Kane didn't have to. He just had to put his spin on something that was working. He didn't need to build. Whereas like both him and Stephen Fleming, I think, needed to build from scratch and kind of did it successfully.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Fleming with a worse team than what McCullum had a drawn series in Australia.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And almost won 2 of those test matches.
Yeah.
So, and I think one of those 2, eventually, I don't know when, are going to probably one point coach this team, the Black Caps.
Yeah, one would think so.
Like at some point you gotta expect that like probably someone like Glenn Phillips is gonna end up being captain once Tom Latham, because Kane Williamson is not captaining anymore. Tim Southey will probably stop captaining after this World Test Championship cycle.
Yeah, this will be his last cycle.
I don't know if Tom Latham wants to be captain.
I think he takes it on. He's basically been vice captain for both of them.
Yeah, I think he likes being vice captain, but being opener and captain is a lot.
It is a lot. You are right. There's a lot in that. To have to juggle and to maintain and everything. So maybe you look for someone else.
Also, if Kane Williamson's retired, he becomes the batter.
Yeah. Pretty much.
The team's best. The team's most reliable and most important batter.
Yeah. So that's you're putting a lot of things on him.
Yeah. Whereas you can just go, we're gonna build for the next 5-6 years with someone like Glenn Phillips. I think Rachin Ravindra's too young.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah, but Mitchell's the same age as I know. We're saying Latham's.
Yeah.
I've got many other hats on, but I mean Mitchell and Latham are basically the same age.
Yeah. I mean, the only other is I said other than we can look at Blundell, but even he's like 33.
Yeah.
And even like the young players coming in, like I don't know, like Mark Chapman's not that young anymore.
No.
Will Young's not that young anymore.
No.
And Finn Allen is too young.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. Who takes on captaincy after all that, but I guess.
But I think if you have someone like Brendan McCullum or Stephen Fleming coaching the team, they can groom a captain.
Yeah.
And I think because they're both ex-captains, I think in cricket, a coach who tells a captain's response to a coach trying to tell you what to do while you're in the middle of the field, rather than wait for the thing, is you tell him to stay in his lane.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Once you're on the field, it's now the captain's world. He's making the choices.
Like, unless you see something like he's totally not noticing this, I'm sending you thing. You can use this information if you think it's useful, but I'm not sending you instructions like, this guy's clearly got an issue with this ball, or,
Yeah.
Because, the coach doesn't know which bowler's feeling tired, or which bowler's, pulled a little injury, needs to get, it's just which bowler's feeling the vibes, and, so much of captaincy is just that, managing resources on the field that are, in a dynamic environment. It's not really tactics. Like, oh,
No.
I did a bowling change and it worked. Like, you know, that's just confirmation bias. That's not what a captain really does.
Yeah. There is a little bit of it because there's reacting to it and like, no, that bowler's just not feeling it today, or I'm not feeling them today, or the batter seems to be too comfortable. Let's throw someone else on. But really, you're right. It's like that's not working.
That's
Who else?
also managing your resource, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
you're
like,
going, okay,
who else do I
keep
have?
them for later.
Yeah. So what else do I know? Is what's been working? Things been working out. Who have I got? Okay, you have a full arm. You're over. Hey, look, 3 wickets in the first over. Yeah, I'm the best captain ever.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting because I think there will be a lot of changing of the guard after the T20 World Cup because I think Tests, ODIs, and T20s all will need to have a change. Also, I think New Zealand were robbed because we won the ODI Super League before the World Cup. We should have gotten a trophy for that.
We should have got a trophy for that.
Like, that should be a minor Premier's medal, right?
Yeah, definitely. There should be something. Like, come on. We won something.
That's an ICC tournament. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they don't want to give us a prize for it, take it. Like, that's definitely a thing.
Like, if it was Australia or India at the top, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, you know, it's just, but you know, like, come on, we don't win.
Exactly.
We don't have that many or the West Indies. You guys have multiple.
Yeah.
You guys have won every single ICC trophy on offer, so don't, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, Australia has won all of the on offer, and the others have all won at least 2 of each. You know, 1 of each of the white ball.
The white ball ones, yeah.
New Zealand's only got a white ball one that does. You know, it's a Champions Trophy. It wasn't before it was a Champions Trophy. It was still called the Mini World Cup back then. There was only 8 teams, and it was 3 games.
Yeah. But we won the first Test Championship, and they can never take that away from us.
Yes. Technically, that ODI World Cup is also the only the Champions Trophy is also the only tournament that the South Africa's won. Actually, no, South Africa, when they won it, it was called the Mini World Cup. And it was only 3 games. We still had groups and stuff when New Zealand won it. Okay, it's a bit more legitimate.
Yeah. Their one's not legitimate. Our one's legitimate.
Yep. I guess they also won a Commonwealth Games gold medal.
Yeah. Might give them that one. See how I feel.
It's not an ICC tournament, so you know.
Yeah, doesn't count.
If,
that's why they could win it.
But will winning the Olympic medal count in LA?
Maybe. Have to wait to see if they do it or not.
Because 2028 is in Brisbane, right? So 2032.
Yeah.
Or is it actually at the Olympics at Brisbane in 28? Oh no, they are at LA in 2028. 2032 is at Brisbane.
Alright, yeah.
So, Great Britain will defend their title. Because the team that won silver in the first ever Olympic cricket Olympics was France.
That is hilarious.
And Great Britain aren't a test team; they don't count.
No, they don't count at all.
France's one is legitimate. It's a legit silver medal.
Yeah, no, they get that one.
But yeah, I think with that point, that's all we have time for today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening, and look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.